What would you do if your entire future depended on a decision that could destroy everything around you? For Sheikh Hamdan, that impossible choice just became his harsh reality. The man known for his calm demeanor, his poetic heart, and his loyalty to family is now standing at a crossroads, forced to choose between keeping the peace or rekindling a love that never truly faded. But this isn't just about love, it's about power, pride, and the quiet battles happening behind palace doors. And the heartbreaking truth, no matter what decision Hamdan makes, someone's going to get hurt. Today, we uncover the emotional storm Sheikh Hamdan is facing and the decision that might haunt him forever. It all started with a single demand, one that flipped Sheikh Hamdan's world upside down. Just a few weeks ago, whispers began circulating across Dubai's elite circles, and soon it was confirmed. Sheikh Hamdan had been given an ultimatum. He had exactly 3 months to remarry his ex-wife, Haadiya. On the surface, it sounded simple. Marry the woman he once loved, reunite the family, and restore order. But behind closed doors, the reality was far messier. Haadiya wasn't just an ex-wife, she was his first love, the woman who once held his heart completely. Their story wasn't just a fairy tale, it was filled with complicated emotions, painful history, and unfinished business. And now, with the clock ticking, Hamdan is under immense pressure. But the decision isn't his alone. Powerful forces within his family and beyond are making sure this choice comes with consequences he can't ignore. But the situation gets even more complicated when you consider the woman already by Sheikh Hamdan's side, his current wife, Sheikha Thani. Known for her strong personality and quiet influence, Sheikha Thani isn't just another figure in Hamdan's life. She's his wife, the mother of his children, and someone deeply connected to the royal family's political landscape. But there's one thing everyone close to them knows. Sheikha Thani has never accepted Haadiya. In fact, the very mention of Haadiya's name is enough to stir tension behind palace walls. For Hamdan, the thought of bringing up this forced remarriage is like walking into a storm with no way out. How do you tell your wife, a woman of pride and status, that you're being pressured to remarry your ex, the same woman she's always disliked? He knows that conversation won't just spark arguments, it could ignite a full-blown crisis within the family. And it's not just about emotions, it's about reputation, power, and the careful balance of relationships that hold their world together. For now, Hamdan keeps quiet. But as the deadline creeps closer, silence may no longer be an option. And what happens when that silence finally breaks could shake the palace to its core. While the world speculates about Sheikh Hamdan's marriage and the looming ultimatum, there's one person quietly watching from the sidelines, Shamma al-Falasi. To most outsiders, Shamma is seen as Hamdan's longtime friend, his confidant, and, as rumors suggest, something much more complicated. Their relationship has always lived in that gray area, not officially acknowledged, yet impossible to ignore. Unlike Sheikha Thani or Haadiya, Shamma isn't tangled up in family politics or royal expectations. But make no mistake, her presence in Hamdan's life is powerful. She knows his secrets, she understands his struggles, and perhaps most importantly, she remains a rare source of calm when his world feels like it's spiraling out of control. On the surface, Shamma seems unaffected by the ultimatum. She smiles, attends her events, and keeps her composure. But Hamdan knows better. Beneath that cool exterior, there's uncertainty. What happens if he remarries Haadiya? Would Shamma stand by him or quietly walk away, leaving him more alone than ever? For now, she listens. She offers quiet advice. But Hamdan can't escape the thought. The very same storm threatening his marriage with Sheikha Thani could easily sweep Shamma away too. And losing her, that might break him in ways no one sees coming. For days, Sheikh Hamdan tried to maintain his usual routine, attending political events, making public appearances, and pretending life was normal. But beneath that polished image, his mind was racing. The ultimatum, The pressure, the silent tension with Sheikha Thani, it was all building. And then, just when he thought he could hold everything together, his phone rang. It was Sheikha Thani. Now, anyone who knows their marriage knows this. Sheikha Thani isn't the type to call without a reason. Her calls are rare, calculated, and usually mean one thing: trouble. Hamdan's heart sank for a moment, but he answered with his usual calm tone, keeping his emotions hidden. She didn't waste time with small talk. She wanted to know where he was, what he was doing. Her voice was steady, but Hamdan could feel the suspicion underneath. And in that moment, the words were on the tip of his tongue. The ultimatum, the pressure to remarry Haadiya. But he couldn't say it, he hesitated, and that silence said more than words ever could. The call ended, but the weight of what he didn't say hung in the air. Hamdan knew that avoiding the conversation wouldn't make it disappear. Sooner or later, the truth would come out, and when it did, the fallout could be more devastating than he ever imagined. Just when Sheikh Hamdan thought he could catch his breath, the phone rang again. But this time, it wasn't Sheikha Thani, it was Haadiya Zen, his ex-wife, the woman at the center of this storm. For a brief moment, hearing her voice brought back memories, the good ones, their quiet moments, the bond they once shared, the love that still lingered in the shadows of his heart. Their conversation started light. They exchanged pleasantries, reminisced about old times, but it didn't take long for the mood to shift. In the middle of their chat, Haadiya's tone hardened. With no hesitation, she asked the question Hamdan had been dreading. "When will you divorce Sheikha Thani?" His heart skipped a beat. The room fell silent as those words echoed in his mind. Divorce Sheikha Thani? It wasn't that simple, not in his world. Not with the royal family, the politics, the consequences. Carefully, Hamdan responded, admitting the painful truth. "Even if I remarry you, I cannot divorce Sheikha Thani." The line went dead silent. Then came Haadiya's chilling response, calm but final. "If that's the case, I don't want to remarry you at all." And just like that, everything broke. No more second chances, no more what-ifs. The call ended abruptly, leaving Hamdan staring at his phone and realizing he may have lost her forever. Later that evening, as the weight of the conversation with Haadiya lingered, Sheikh Hamdan found himself back at the Nars Sports Gymnasium, trying to distract his restless mind. But no amount of exercise could shake the heavy feeling in his chest. And then his phone rang again. It was Shamma al-Falasi. Unlike the others, Shamma didn't dive straight into the drama. Her first words were simple: "How are you doing?" But Hamdan knew she wasn't asking about his schedule or his public appearances. She was asking about the storm inside him, the one no one else seemed to see. For the first time in days, Hamdan opened up. He poured out everything: the ultimatum, Haadiya's demand, the painful realization that his world was falling apart. Shamma listened patiently, her voice calm, her presence steady. And then she spoke words that cut deeper than any argument. "Hamdan, you can't force someone to stay in a life where they don't even agree with the basics." Her words were sharp, but they carried truth, the kind that's hard to hear but impossible to deny. Shamma wasn't just talking about Haadiya, she was talking about all of it: the marriages, the pressure, the impossible expectations. And in that moment, Hamdan realized staying in this tangled web might cost him everything. But her final words struck the deepest blow. "You shouldn't block Haadiya from moving on. She deserves happiness. And she's about to marry someone who's loved her for 15 years. Those words left Hamdan speechless. The thought of Haadiya belonging to someone else, it shattered him. But deep down, he knew Shamma was right. And just like that, it was over. In the end, Sheikh Hamdan made the only decision he felt he could. He picked up his phone, called Haadiya's cousin, and with a heavy heart spoke the words that sealed his fate. "I don't need 3 months. I'm not going to remarry Haadiya." There was no anger, no drama, just quiet acceptance. The cousin calmly replied, "Okay." then I'll marry her. No worries. But those words hit harder than any argument, because it wasn't just about Haadiya marrying someone else, it was about losing his first love, the one person who once knew his heart better than anyone, the woman who had shared his dreams, his fears, his life. And now she was walking away, for good. Shamma, she was still there, his confidant, his rock. But even her wise words couldn't fill the space Haadiya once held. Now, all that remains is the haunting question: can Sheikh Hamdan truly move on? Or will this heartbreak linger in the shadows, a quiet reminder of what could have been? What do you think? Will Sheikh Hamdan recover from this loss, or will it follow him forever? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this story interesting, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon. Because trust me, the story of Sheikh Hamdan and his family is far from over. Thank you for watching.